Hello students, hope you all are doing well. This pandemic situation has brought a lot of changes and we all are undergoing a stressful situation. Students of classes 10 and 12 must be additionally worried about their upcoming CBSE board examination 2021. Krishnanagar Public School, Nadia, in its humble attempt to be by your side, have come up with special classes by a team of experts. We are thankful to Sting News for extending their welcoming hands. Students, all the best to you. Stay safe, stay blessed.
Hello everyone. A warm welcome to all my dear listeners and viewers. We are going to discuss a very important topic today of your economics syllabus for class 12, that is money and banking. It is a very important topic and a very interesting topic even. Now, the chapter comprises of two parts. One is money and the other one is banking. So we are going to start with money first. So when we talk about money, what do we mean by money? Money is basically a medium of exchange. It is a unit of account. It is a standard for deferred payment. It is a store of value. As what Crowther has said, money plays four major functions. Money is a matter of functions four. It is a medium, standard, measure and store. So it is a medium of exchange. Just take an example. When we were in our when we have heard of our forefathers that there was something which was called barter system of trade. Commodities were exchanged for other commodities. So that was with the invent of money. We started exchanging goods and services from our early civilization. Our demands were less, our wishes were less, and as such we used to produce all goods and services that was required. But in case we were not producing those and we required to exchange it, so we had to exchange it with others who used to produce the other types of goods. Let's take an example that I am a farmer and I am producing wheat, but I am in need of rice too. So what will I do? I will go and search for another farmer who is producing rice. But that's not enough. I will have to see that the farmer is in need of the wheat that I am producing. So there was a major problem with the commodity exchange, and the major problem was double coincidence of wants. The wants of both the parties in exchange needs to be coincided, and only then trade will take place. Let's take an example. I have got a farmer who has got enough of rice. I have got enough of wheat, but he does not want the wheat that I have produced. So trade between me and that farmer will not be possible. Trade will only be possible when the farmer needs the wheat that I have produced in excess and I need the rice which the farmer has produced in excess. So with this, there were certain other drawbacks also. Slowly and steadily, civilization changed, human race changed, and many types of goods came into picture that were traded as or that were used as money. Animal skins, furs, these were also used as money. Then came the age where metallic coins were used, and now we have all from commodity money we have transformed to Bitcoin, cryptocurrency. We have digital money, we have digital wallets where we are keeping our digital money and we are using them for exchange of goods and services. So that was money. So money is anything that is used to exchange other goods and services. As I told you, it is anything, because earlier commodities were used as money, and now even the plastic money that we have, that is the debit card and the credit card, they are also used for exchanging goods and services. With this comes in the concept of supply of money. We are talking about money, we are talking about inflation, we are talking about deflation, we are talking about the Reserve Bank, we are talking about commercial banks, so many things. But we have to keep one thing in mind, that supply of money basically refers to the total stock of money which people are holding at a particular point of time, which can be used as a means of payment and store of value. And who is going to decide this? It is in India, it is the Reserve Bank of India which is going to decide the total supply of money. So according to the Reserve Bank of India parameters, there are 5 versions for the supply of money. The first version, which is known as M1, so money base 1 or money supply 1, it includes the currency or the coins that we are holding with ourselves, that is the public is holding, that is the 10 rupee note, 100 rupee note, 2000 rupee note that we are carrying with ourselves, the 5 rupee coin, the 10 rupee coin. So all these coins and currency notes that we are holding, plus the demand deposits of ourselves with the commercial banks. Now, what do we mean by demand deposits? Demand deposits are basically referring to the savings bank deposits that we have opened with the commercial bank. One fine day, I have certain idle money, I go and deposit it into the bank, that becomes my demand money. Why? Because the other day when I go to the bank and I demand the money back from the bank is bound to give me that money. So that is why it is called demand money. So when we talk about M1, it is the currency notes and the coins with the public, plus the demand deposits with commercial banks and any other type of deposit which is there with the Reserve Bank of India. So these three taken together comprises of M1. Then we move to another version, that is money base 2 or money supply 2, M2, which is nothing but the M1 that we have just read plus the savings deposits with the post offices. You know, you have heard, dear students, that your fathers and grandfathers, they have kept certain amount of money, or rather they have saved certain amount of money in post offices. So when we talk about money supply, it's not only the amount of money that we are keeping with banks, but it is also including the amount of our savings that we have kept with the post offices. So when we talk about M2, it is the currency notes and the coins, plus the demand deposits with commercial banks, plus other types of deposits with RBI, plus our savings with the post office savings account or post offices. Now when we move to M3, that is the money base 3 or money supply 3, it is again the M1 that we have discussed plus the time deposits with commercial banks. Now, just like I told you that there is a demand deposit, that means you go to the bank, you demand your money, the bank is bound to give you money, your money which you have saved. In case of time deposits, we are referring to those deposits which are time bound. That means one fine day if I go to the bank and say that this is my fixed deposit money that I want back, the bank may not give me at that point of time because it is time bound. So when we talk about fixed deposits, when we talk about recurring deposits, these are all time bound and these are all the deposits which are kept with commercial banks. So when we talk about M3, M3 is the same M1, that is currency notes and coins with the public, plus demand deposits of the public with commercial banks, plus other deposits, plus time deposits with commercial bank. So that is M3. When we talk about the last version, that is M4, that is the M3 plus total deposits with post offices. As I told you, post offices will include not only the savings deposit but also the time deposits with the bank, and that is what is known as high powered money or the money base of the country, which is nothing but the total currency in circulation plus total types of deposits with the commercial banks plus post offices and all other deposits with RBI. So this is all about supply of money. Now students, after describing you all the 5 versions of money supply, I told you that M0 is the high powered money or the money base of the country which is decided by the Reserve Bank of India. We are moving into a very interesting and a numerical based topic which is called credit creation. These commercial banks, when we talk about commercial banks, what are commercial banks? These are those banks which are basically operating on a basis of profit. You suppose, for example, you go and deposit 100 rupees with the bank. What the bank is doing? The bank is giving you 4% interest. But you take a 100 rupee loan from the bank is charging you 13% interest. So this difference in the rate of interest is nothing but the profit which the bank is making. And in this process of granting loans and receiving deposits, the bank is creating credit into the market. One of the pivotal role played by commercial banks in today's economy is credit creation. Now, what is this credit creation? It means creation of credit through commercial banks, accepting of deposits and advancing of loan functions. Now, for this, we make certain assumptions. Let's take you make an initial deposit with the bank and that is of 1000 rupees. So the initial deposit which a customer makes to bank X is 1000 rupees. So let's take an example that you are the bank. So when you receive 1000 rupees from a customer like me, what will you do? Will you give the entire 1000 rupees as loan to Mr. Y? No. You will keep certain amount of that 1000 rupees as reserve with you, so that whenever I go to you, you can repay me my 1000 rupees. And that reserve is called CRR, cash reserve ratio, which you are going to maintain with yourself. That is, the bank is going to maintain with yourself. And for simplicity's sake, let's assume that the CRR is 20%. So out of 1000 rupees, which is the primary deposit or the initial deposit which bank X is receiving, the bank X is going to deduct 20% of that, that is 200 rupees, and give the balance 800 rupees as loan to a customer, say Miss Indrani. So after getting the loan of rupees 800, the bank is the customer, that is Miss Indrani, is going to deposit that loan amount which she has received via check from X bank into her bank account. Say her bank account is Y. What that Y account will do, or what that Y bank will do? That Y bank will again receive 800 rupees as a primary deposit from Miss Indrani, deduct 20% of that, that is 160 rupees, and give the remaining 640 rupees as loan to, say, Rashmi. So in this case, when Rashmi receives the loan of 640 rupees via check, Rashmi goes to the bank and deposit the check of 640 rupees to the bank. Again, the bank is going to take 20% of that 640 rupees and give the balance as loan to, say, Shankar. So in that case, what is happening? You will see that out of a primary deposit of 1000 rupees that I have done as a customer, the bank has granted a loan of 800 rupees and then granted a loan of 640 rupees, and so on the process continues. And this process of granting loans is what is called credit creation. There is a simple formula to calculate what will be the amount of credit that banks can create. The simple formula is 1 by RR into delta D. So it is 1 by reserve ratio into initial deposit, which is delta D. In our example, the reserve ratio was 20% and the initial deposit was 1000 rupees. So if you calculate it, you will get 1000 by 20%. So the answer that you will get is 5000 rupees. So with a primary deposit of 1000 rupees, banks can generate credit to tune of 5000 rupees. And this entire process of creating credit is what is called credit creation. And I told you, this is one of the very important functions of modern banks in modern economy. So this was all about money. Now we move to the second part of the chapter, which is bank, or rather which is central bank. Now when we talk about central bank is the apex bank of any economy. No other bank enjoys a higher position than the central bank of that country. Just like in India we see that under the judiciary system, the Supreme Court is the highest authority. No other court has any highest authority than the Supreme Court. Similarly, under the banking structure, it is the central bank, which is known as the Reserve Bank of India, which plays the pivotal role or the highest authority of money supply in the country. So Reserve Bank of India is the central bank of our country, which is Indian economy. There are certain functions which the Reserve Bank of India performs. The first function is known as the Bank of Issue. Now, what is this Bank of Issue? The Reserve Bank of India enjoys the monopoly right of issuing currency notes in the Indian economy. No other bank has got the right to issue currency notes in the Indian economy. Earlier, many years back, commercial banks were granted this facility of printing currency notes, but later on this was taken away by them, and now the monopoly power of issuing currency notes lies with the Central Bank of India, with the central bank, which is the Reserve Bank of India. The RBI, in its note Mudrayan division, issues all or prints all types of currency notes starting from the lower denomination to up to rupees 2000. Only the 1 rupee note, when it was earlier issued, it is issued by the Ministry of Finance. But all other currency notes are issued by the Reserve Bank of India. The second function that we move is called banker to the banks. The Reserve Bank of India, popularly known as the RBI, is the banker of all other banks. I told you now that Central Bank or the Reserve Bank of India enjoys the highest position in the entire banking structure. No other bank enjoys a higher position than the Reserve Bank of India. So all other banks that you see when you go through the roads, you see State Bank of India, you see Canara Bank, you see Bank of Baroda, ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank, so many banks are there. All these commercial banks functions under the umbrella of the Reserve Bank or the Central Bank of India. And that is why we say that the central bank is the banker's bank. All these commercial banks about whom I am talking now, these banks have to deposit a certain percentage of their total deposits with the RBI as per mandate or as per law. And that is also one of the reasons why the Reserve Bank of India is called the father to the banking structure or the banking system in India. It is the banker to all banks. So the first function of RBI is the bank of issue. Second is the banker to all other banks. Third, bank of the government. All government transactions are done through the RBI. If you want to deposit certain amount of money to the government for taking any facility or enjoying any right, then ultimately the money has to be deposited with RBI. So it is the banker of the government. Next, controller of credit and money supply. When we were talking about money supply under the chapter money, I told you that there are 5 versions and the entire supply of money is decided by the Reserve Bank of India. I told you one of the important functions of a commercial bank is creation of credit. But one of the important function of central bank is controller of credit. Depending upon the economic condition, depending upon the economy, the Reserve Bank of India controls credit. Let's take an example. I was just telling you CRR, cash reserve ratio. Every commercial bank has to maintain a certain percentage of their total deposits with the RBI. If this CRR is increased, what will happen? These banks will have to keep away certain more amount of money with the RBI. I told you in our credit creation example that 20% is CRI. If the CRR is increased to 30%, what will happen? Out of that 1000 rupees, it is 300 rupees which the bank is going to keep with itself and 700 is given as loan. In our earlier example, I saw that 800 was given as loan. So as CRR is increased, credit is controlled. So depending upon inflationary pressures in the economy, the Reserve Bank of India has various other modes, though this is not there in your revised curriculum due to this pandemic. This credit control methods has been reduced from your syllabus, but this is there as a function of RBI. Next function, lender of last resort. Very important function that this can also come as a short question. Now, what is this lender of last resort? Lender of last resort, as I told you, the central bank is the father of the entire banking structure. No other bank occupies a higher position than the Central Bank of India. So when any commercial bank is in need of money, when any commercial bank is in need of financial crisis, they will look for solving that problem through their other commercial banks or branches. But in case they fail, they resort to RBI. And since RBI is the banker to all banks, RBI has mandatorily to help all these commercial banks, and that is why they are known as lender of last resort. The RBI is known as the lender of last resort, and I, being a commercial bank, I also know that in case of my financial emergency, if I cannot manage the money, I will go to my father and my father is going to help me, and that father here is the Reserve Bank of India. The next function that we move, custodian of foreign exchange reserves. We are getting into import-export trade. Foreign currency is coming in. Where will this foreign currency go ultimately? The guardian of this foreign currency in our Indian economy is the Reserve Bank of India. So the Reserve Bank of India is playing the role of the guardian, as playing the role of the custodian of foreign exchange reserves or foreign currency that is moving in our country. A very important function which the RBI is playing is clearing house facility. Earlier we had a notion, you have also heard, that if I deposit a check today, it will take at least 3 to 5 days to get the money back into my account. But this time span has been reduced now. We are getting into CBS system of banking. What the banks are doing? Now banks, when you deposit a check today, the bank is taking a photocopy, scanning the check and sending it to RBI. There is no physical handling of checks nowadays. So what is this RBI doing? since RBI is maintaining deposits of all other banks, it is very easy for them to debit one account and credit another account. So this clearinghouse facility is done very easily by the Reserve Bank of India. Let's take an example that I have received a check of 1000 rupees from State Bank of India, but I have an account in HDFC. So what I do, I go to HDFC, fill in the required form and submit this check of 1000 rupees. So do you think that HDFC people will take this check of 1000 rupees and go to Reserve Bank? No, they will just scan it. They have a particular in-house mechanism and they will send the check digitally to RBI. Since RBI is maintaining the account of both SBI and HDFC, RBI is going to debit the SBI account and credit the HDFC account. So in very small span of time, the checks will be cleared. And this is what is clearinghouse function which the Reserve Bank of India is doing. And the last function which Central Bank or the Reserve Bank of India is doing is collection and publication of data and certain promotional functions. The Reserve Bank of India is looking after the expansion of bank branches in all the areas, whether it is rural, semi-urban, or whether we are talking about establishment of new banks. These are all done under the influence or under the guidance of Reserve Bank of India. Whatever is being done in the economy, all this statistical information is being collected by RBI and they are printed in news dailies and they are shown to public so that public has an idea about what is happening in the economy. So all these 8 were the most important functions which Reserve Bank of India is playing. Just to sum up, bank of issue, banker to the bank, bank of the government, controller of credit and money supply, lender of last resort, custodian of foreign exchange reserve, clearinghouse function and collection of data. I hope this is going to help you all. Thank you.